I've noticed that a lot of people contradict themselves in, what they want to do, um, and then don't end up doing it. You have a lot of people that contradict themselves on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, and that's the ultimate contradiction. Even in a relationship, people contradict. So I think every person contradicts themselves in a part of their lives, because especially when you're younger, even and you older too, because sometimes you go through that, and you'll say, especially with the New Year's resolutions that people have, they contradict themselves too. Like they'll have a resolution, the contradiction of saying, I want to go to school, I want to get a better job, I want to work out, I want to try to get in shape, and they'll say that, but then within a month or two, or a few weeks to a month or two, they'll get tired of it. Like working out, people will say that for New Year's and then get tired of it by February. You know what I'm saying? With the schools, a person will have a New Year's resolution and want to go back to school, but then they realize, they can't do that. And I can understand, and you can understand it if it's money reasons and stuff like that. But any other thing, it's no excuse. But then at the same time, there's not a time limit on going back to school. You can always go back to school. Working, everybody's like, I gotta find me a better job, but people don't look for a better job, and then they're considered, they like the job that they at. You know what I'm saying? People say, or one of my favorite ones that people say, especially black people say this a lot. Quite a few black people say this. They say, I don't want to work for a white dude. I'm like, I don't want to work for whites. I want to work doing my own business and stuff like that. I'll never work for whites. But how you gonna get some money unless you're doing something illegal? Even if you're doing something illegal, who's the stuff that's bringing you these drugs? White people. Who's the people that's signing your checks when your job? White person. So either way, a white person is going to be writing your checks. So, you know what I'm saying? So you really have to understand that. People contradict themselves in traveling. Like, I'm gonna travel more. I gotta get this. But then when the time comes, it's like, oh man, I ain't got no money, so I'm gonna have to do that. And again, I can understand with money, but when it's a constant, everyday thing where you just come up with excuses, it happens. Or when a person comes up with a plan and then reneges on it and don't go through on it. It's just a lot of contradictions that go on throughout the world. I've done it. Everybody's done it. I'm working on it, and I hope you guys are working on it too, because there's nothing like a person contradicting themselves every time. And you find it, YouTube, people do it all the time. They'll say they're gonna do something, they say, well, I'm not gonna, especially in relationships, they say, or talking, or when guys with women, or with women with guys, like, I ain't gonna never do that. They ain't gonna never catch me slipping. I ain't gonna never pay on no dates. I'm not gonna never do this. I'm not gonna never do that. But on the low, you don't know what these people are doing on the low, and know what they telling you. They might be doing the same simpish stuff, because sometimes them old habits come back, and they not gonna tell you that they gonna do that. So, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes them old habits be coming back to me, but then I tell myself, being that a good guy that I am, I try to be, a good person with women and be nice. But then, come to realize, being nice don't always work when it comes to women. And I know and I know that around women, they don't always want to be nice to men, but a lot of them just ain't nice anyway. That's just my opinion. But the nicer you are, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna be an asshole in the new year and stuff. But then you go back to your old nice guy ways or your nice girl ways. You know, you contradict and then your friends tell you things like you shouldn't be this, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, and then you tell a perfect example of contradicting themselves. A perfect example I would use Tahiri in Love and Hip Hop. Tahiri says, I'm not going to be back with Joe Budden, I'm not going to do this and do that, but then she still finds herself being back with this dude, even though he has a girl. But come on now, we all know that they going to end up going back together and sleeping around and stuff. So that's a prime example of contradicting themselves. Another contradiction is these, is church. Church contradicts themselves a lot. A lot of them say that they losing money and the church is going bankrupt and all this, but yet at the same time, you know what I'm saying, you doing that. Then they do 2 or 3 offerings and stuff like that, which I never liked with churches. Whenever you do more than 1 offering at a church, you know, you want some shady type stuff. We're gonna do one for the church. We're gonna do one for the pastor. We're gonna do one for the deacons. We're gonna do one for. I'm like, how many of y'all gonna? And most of the contradiction and stuff, you know, what church is the ultimate contradiction. You got people that go to church on Sunday, but then go to the casino on Saturdays and doing all kinds of who knows what. So church is the ultimate contradiction. So I don't want to hear all that. And then I can understand, you know, some people don't want to go to church because of the hypocrisy and stuff like that goes on, which I can understand that, because it's definitely a lot of contradictions in the church, no question. Or, you know, and I may do a show. I may do a show on contradiction in the church too. So, or just something on the church. So, and then people will, the way that they live, and I'm gonna make things better. I'm gonna, you know, get a better job, go back to school, get a better career. Get my business together, have a business plan. You know, I'm not gonna hang around with the same friends like I used to in high school. Show more love, pray. People contradict themselves on praying. With a lot of things, you know, a lot of things people do. But everybody contradicts themselves in a certain point in their lives. So if anybody say they don't contradict themselves, you lying. Everybody contradicts themselves. We all say that we're going to do this, but then we don't wind up doing it because of certain situations or of money. You know, you don't want to go to, you want to go to a club, you want to travel and stuff like that, but then sometimes you don't have the money to do that. So, or you just find a way that you just don't want to go because you don't want to be around that crowd, which I understand that too. But contradictions, everybody has them. Certain ways, certain things you have it, certain ways you don't. But with this in closing, always we have to stop contradicting ourselves and start living the reality in what we want to do. Again, stay in focus and don't be distracted and stop the excuses. Everybody just do what they do and everything is going to be alright. Okay, so on that note, man, I'm going to holler at y'all in a minute. Don't get distracted. Don't contradict yourself. So I'm going to holler at y'all in a minute, man. Peace out.